Jersey coast. Is that really your idea of how to run a newspaper?
I don't know how to run a newspaper, Mr. Thatcher. I just try everything I can think of.
George, you know perfectly well there's not the slightest proof that this armada's off the Jersey
Hello,
coast.
Mr. Bernstein.
Excuse me, Mr.
Can you
Kane.
prove it isn't?
This just
Mr.
came
Bernstein, I'd like you to meet Mr. Thatcher.
I'll just put
How do you do,
on
Mr. Thatcher?
Leland, Mr. Thatcher, my ex-guardian.
From
We have
Cuba.
no secrets from our readers, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Thatcher is one of our most devoted readers. He knows what's wrong with every copy of the Inquirer since I took over. Read the cable.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Could send you prose poems about scenery, but don't feel right spending your money. Stop. There is no war in Cuba. Signed, Wheeler. Any answer?
Yes, dear Wheeler, you provide the prose poems. I'll provide the war.
That's fine, Mr. Kane.
Yes, I rather like myself.
Charles,
Send it right away.
I came to see you about this.
You provide the prose poems, and I will provide the war. Now that clip comes to you from the movie Citizen Kane. Now some say Citizen Kane is one of the greatest movies of all time. That might be debated and questioned. However, the movie supposedly was about Charles Foster Kane, played by Orson Welles, the one in the center here, who parallels the life of William Randolph Hearst, the so-called newspaper conglomerate. And that particular line was adjusted just slightly. And we're going to go to another DVD in this box set that I bought that I just showed you there about Citizen Kane. And it comes from the program The American Experience. So let me go ahead and get that started for you.
Man in town, William Randolph Hearst.
He thought that the controversy that would stem from this could only be beneficial, and it turned out to be otherwise. Horribly so.
Neither man would survive the battle over Citizen Kane. Tonight on The American Experience. Major funding for The American Experience is provided by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation to enhance public understanding of the role of technology. The foundation also supports the Sloan Technology Series, a collection
Sorry to
of books
put you through
chronicling
the
the major
commercials here.
technologies of the 20th century
I'm not the best at creating
by the Corporation
videos,
for Public Broadcasting,
but I hope you appreciate my
and
content.
the annual financial support of viewers like you.
And by Scott's Lawn Care Products. With Scott's Turf Builder, anyone can turn their own little piece of America into a place to be cherished. Season after season after season.
Good evening and welcome to The American Experience. I'm David McCullough. Our film tonight is about two colossal Americans on a collision course. It's about the sparks given off by oversized egos holding forth at center stage in American life. It's also about the often blurred, confusing boundary between reality and illusion in American life.
Notice what he said about the blurred realities between reality and illusions. Very interesting.
In his time, each of our protagonists was the acclaimed master of his medium, and both vaulted to the pinnacle as boy wonders, each in turn catching the wave of revolutionary changes in mass communication and mass entertainment.
Okay, the two that he's talking about are William Randolph Hearst and Orson Welles. Now let me give you my thoughts on Hearst. I did a video to show that Hearst and President McKinley are the same actor. President McKinley appears to be a little bit older than Hearst, but that can easily be done by makeup. So when the actor who played Hearst was younger, they just made him to look older. And then they took off the older type makeup, and hence you had William Randolph Hearst. So they were one and the same. Now what was happening was this. The controllers began to realize that media was becoming mass media. And to have independent newspapers was a threat to programming the population. So the controllers began to buy up all the newspapers little by little. And they used the character of William Randolph Hearst to accomplish this. In essence, it was the government. Everything about Hearst is just nonsense. It's the government who eventually got control of all media. And incidentally, as I'm speaking, that is absolutely true. Now, the government may not own all media, but it absolutely controls all media. And if you don't believe that, you can go to what's called the Smith-Mont Modernization Act, found in NDAA 2013, Section 1078, that tells you every form of media is under the control of a board that has been appointed by the President of the United States of America, which means nothing slips by in any form of media unless it comes through government censors. In other words, everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything, print and screen, is propaganda. So McCullough is telling you the blur between illusion and reality, and the two greats of William Randolph Hearst and then Orson Welles. Now, let me talk a little bit about Orson Welles. Orson Welles is part of the Kabbalah system. So when he attempts to do a film called Citizen Kane and expose the millionaire William Randolph Hearst, it's nonsense also. Because William Randolph Hearst was fictitious. It was just basically the government buying up all the newspapers so that mass media could become mass control. And it's right about this time that a lot of the great books were put out about the control of media and its great power for persuasion and propaganda. So, in essence, all the newspapers under the control of William Randolph Hearst were just basically the controllers or the government or the elitists, whatever term you have for them. And this movie, Citizen Kane, was supposed to expose Hearst. It was just sort of a double propaganda piece. In other words, expose somebody who's really fictitious in the start. Now, Orson Welles will later don a German uniform, and he will play none other than Hermann Göring of the Luftwaffe of World War II. And if you don't believe that, you just take a look at the size of Göring and then take a look at the size of Orson Welles. Orson Welles, his body size will grow enormously right after the making of Citizen Kane. And so by the time they want to shoot propaganda film, Second World War, he's rather huge. And it is all very, very strange that in the German military, you have someone so huge like Goring. Well, anyhow, let's get back to David McCullough.
Their timing was perfect. Beginning in the late 19th century, William Randolph Hearst transformed newspaper publishing. A man who adored sensation, he knew the power of lurid detail, of photographs, drawings, and, if need be, manipulation. When his artist correspondent Frederick Remington arrived in Cuba in 1897 to cover an anticipated Spanish-American War, only to find there was no war, and cabled Hearst for permission to come home, Hearst reportedly cabled back, "You provide the pictures, and I'll provide the war."
Okay, so that's what I wanted you to hear. The actual quote is, "You provide the pictures, and I'll provide the war." In other words, the war was created on paper, in the media. Now, a term that I like to use for this is called media atrocity. Yeah, it's an atrocity. Yeah, sure, there's killings. Yeah, there's explosions. But it's all in the media. It doesn't exist in reality. Now, another way I put this is, it's the title of one of my other channels, Real, R-E-A-L, or Reel, R-E-E-L. And reels were extensively used in filming at one time. They had the film in them, and they went through the camera and came out on the other reel. And then oftentimes when you went to see a movie back in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, they had a film projector. And they put the film through the projector. One reel, and then it's fed through the projector, and then after it passes through the projector, it goes into the other reel, R-E-E-L. So, is it real, R-E-A-L, or real, R-E-E-L? Now, the quote that McCullough just gave you, that is attributed to William Randolph Hearst, basically says that the Spanish-American War was real, R-E-E-L. It didn't really exist, except in the newspapers. And I've been searching and searching and searching. I can't find this right now, but there was a gentleman that supposedly wanted to film the battles in the harbor, in the bay, of the Spanish fleet being destroyed. And what he did was he got his bathtub and put models in it and puffed up a big cigar. And every time there was supposedly something exploding or whatever, he just puffed some smoke from his cigar. And it was very crude, but remember, the year is just before turn of into the 20th century. So it wouldn't take much to fool the public. It wouldn't take much. A few newspapers, a stupid little reel showing something that looks like a boat exploding, and hence you have the Spanish-American War. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I appreciate the fact that you watched them, and even greatly appreciate the fact if you got to the end of this video. Thank you very much. End of video.